The university campus was alive with energy, students bustling to and fro, laughter echoing across the quad, and the faint hum of chatter filling the air. But amidst the chaos, there was one person who seemed to command attention wherever she went. Her name was Zara, and she was the most beautiful girl on campus. Zara had a presence that was impossible to ignore. Her long, flowing hair cascaded down her back in soft waves. Her skin was flawless, and her curves were the kind that made heads turn. She walked with a confidence that was both alluring and intimidating, her every movement exuding a magnetic charm. It wasn't just her looks, though, there was something about her, a certain aura that made people want to be near her. And the male students, they were obsessed. From the moment Zara stepped foot on the campus, she became the object of every guy's desire. They would stare at her as she walked by, their eyes lingering on her body, their minds filled with fantasies of what it would be like to be with her. They would whisper about her in the dorms, in the cafeteria, in the library, anywhere they could gather without being overheard. Zara was the topic of countless conversations, the subject of endless speculation. But Zara wasn't just beautiful, she was smart too. She was at the top of her class, a star student who excelled in every subject. She was kind and approachable, always willing to help a classmate in need. But despite her intelligence and kindness, it was her beauty that defined her in the eyes of the male students. To them, she was a prize to be won and a challenge to be conquered. And Zara, she knew exactly what she was doing. It was Zara's first week on campus, and she was already turning heads. She had just finished her morning lecture and was walking across the quad when she noticed a group of guys staring at her. They were huddled together, their eyes fixed on her as she walked by. She could feel their gaze, and she couldn't help but smile to herself. One of the guys, a tall, muscular jock named Tunde, broke away from the group and approached her. "Hey," he said, his voice smooth and confident. "I'm Tunde. I couldn't help but notice you. You're new here, right?" Zara stopped and turned to face him, her smile widening. "Yeah, I'm new," she said. "I'm Zara." Tunde's eyes traveled up and down her body, taking in every curve. "Well, Zara, welcome to the university. If you ever need someone to show you around, I'd be happy to help." Zara raised an eyebrow, her smile turning coy. "Is that so? And what exactly would you be showing me?" Tunde grinned, clearly enjoying the banter. "Oh, I think you'd be surprised. I know all the best spots on campus." Zara laughed, a soft melodic sound that made Tunde's heart skip a bit. "I'll keep that in mind," she said. "But for now, I think I can manage on my own." She turned and walked away, leaving Tunde staring after her, his mind racing with possibilities. He had never met a girl like Zara before, and he was determined to make her his. Zara's dorm room quickly became the most popular spot on campus. Male students would find any excuse to stop by, whether it was to borrow a book, ask for help with an assignment, or just check in to see how she was doing. Zara knew what they were really after, but she played along, enjoying the attention. One evening, after a long day of classes, Zara was sitting on her bed, flipping through a textbook, when there was a knock at her door. She sighed, knowing it was probably another guy with some flimsy excuse to see her. But when she opened the door, she was surprised to see Femi, one of the quieter guys in her class. "Hey Zara," Femi said, his voice soft and hesitant. I was wondering if you could help me with something." Zara raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Femi wasn't like the other guys. He was shy, almost awkward, and he never tried to flirt with her before. "Sure," she said, stepping aside to let him in. "What do you need help with?" Femi walked into the room, his eyes darting around nervously. It's this assignment," he said, holding up a notebook. "I'm having trouble with it, and I thought maybe you could explain it to me." Zara smiled, sensing his nervousness. Of course, she said. Sit down. Let's take a look. Femi sat on the edge of her bed, his hands trembling slightly as he opened the book. Zara sat down next to him, her body close to his, and began to explain the assignment. But as she spoke, she noticed that Femi wasn't really paying attention. His eyes kept darting to her body, his breath quickening. Femi, she said, her voice soft but firm. Are you even listening? Femi's face turned red and he looked away. I'm sorry, he muttered. It's just, you're so beautiful, Zara. I can't concentrate when I'm this close to you. Zara smiled, feeling a surge of power. She had always known she was beautiful, but there was something about the way Femi looked at her that made her feel even more desirable. She leaned in closer, her lips brushing against his hair as she whispered, Maybe you should stop thinking so much and just enjoy the moment. Femi's breath hissed, and before he could respond, Zara's lips were on his. The kiss was soft at first, but it quickly deepened, their bodies pressing together as the tension between them grew. Femi's hands moved to her waist, pulling her closer, and Zara could feel the heat of his body against hers. But just as quickly as it started, Zara pulled away, leaving Femi breathless and wanting more. That's enough for now, she said, her voice teasing. You should go. We wouldn't want anyone to get the wrong idea. Femi nodded, his face still flushed, and quickly gathered his things. As he left the room, Zara couldn't help but smile to herself. She had always enjoyed the power she had over men, and Femi was no exception. A few weeks later, Zara found herself at a party in one of the off-campus apartments. The music was loud, the drinks were flowing, and the air was thick with the scent of sweat and alcohol. Zara was in her element, her body moving to the rhythm of the music as she danced with a group of friends. But as the night went on, the crowd around her grew thicker. The male students drawn to her like moths to a flame. They would try to dance with her, their hands brushing against her body, their eyes filled with desire. Zara played along, enjoying the attention, but she was always in control. At one point, Tunde approached her, his body slick with sweat from dancing. Zara, his voice low and husky. You've been avoiding me. Zara laughed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Avoiding you? I didn't realize you were looking for me. Tunde stepped closer, his body pressing against hers. You know I've been looking for you, he said. You're all I can think about. Zara could feel the heat of his body, the intensity of his gaze. She knew what he wanted, and for a moment, she considered giving in. But then she remembered the power she held, the control she had over him, and she smiled. Maybe you should try harder, she said, her voice teasing. I'm not that easy to catch. Tunde's eyes darkened, and he leaned in closer, his lips brushing against her ear. I'll catch you, Zara, he whispered. Just you wait. Zara laughed again, pushing him away playfully. We'll see about that, she said, before turning and disappearing into the crowd. As the weeks went on, Zara's reputation grew. She was the girl every guy wanted, the girl every girl wanted to be. But with that reputation came consequences. The male students became more aggressive, more persistent, and Zara found herself constantly fending off their advances. One night, after a particularly intense encounter with a guy who wouldn't take no for an answer, Zara found herself feeling uneasy. She had always enjoyed the attention, but now it was starting to feel overwhelming. She realized that she had created a monster, and she wasn't sure how to control it. She confided in her best friend Ada, who had always been there for her. I don't know what to do, Zara said, her voice filled with frustration. I love the attention, but it's getting out of hand. These guys, they're starting to scare me. Ada nodded, her expression serious. I've been telling you, Zara, you need to be careful. These guys don't see you as a person. They see you as a prize. And if you're not careful, someone's going to get hurt. Zara sighed, knowing Ada was right. She had always been in control, but now she was starting to feel like she was losing her grip. She needed to find a way to regain control, to remind these guys that she was more than just a pretty face. The turning point came one night when Zara was walking back to her dorm after a late night study session. She was alone, the campus quiet and dark, when she heard footsteps behind her. She turned, her heart racing, and she saw a shadowy figure approaching. Zara, a voice called out, low and menacing. I've been waiting for you. Zara's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the voice. It was Tunde, his eyes filled with a dangerous intensity. She tried to stay calm, but she could feel the fear creeping in. Tunde, she said, her voice steady despite her fear. What are you doing here? Tunde stepped closer, his body towering over hers. I told you I'd catch you, he said, his voice low and threatening. And now you're mine. Zara's mind raced, trying to think of a way out. She knew she couldn't fight him off, but she also knew she couldn't let him win. She took a deep breath, her eyes locking with his, and said, You think you can have me? You think you can just take what you want? Tunde hesitated, caught off guard by her defiance. Zara took advantage of the moment, her voice rising as she continued. I'm not some prize to be won, Tunde. I'm a person, and if you think you can just take what you want, you are wrong. Tunde's expression shifted, the anger in his eyes giving way to something else, something like respect. He stepped back, his hands raised in a gesture of surrender. You're right, he said, his voice softer now. I'm sorry, Zara. I didn't mean to scare you. Zara nodded, her heart still racing, but she felt a sense of relief. She had stood up to him, and for the first time, she felt like she truly was in control. After that night, things began to change. Zara realized that she had been playing a dangerous game, and she needed to set boundaries. She started to distance herself from the male students, focusing on her studies and her friendships instead. The guys on campus noticed the change, and while some were disappointed, others respected her for it. Zara had always been beautiful, but now she was something more. She was strong, confident, and in control of her own destiny.